right, so welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is called Fly in Formation. It's an interview series that I've been doing where I reach out to artists across Canada. Every week, I do an hour-long mix of new independent Canadian hip-hop. Never play anything twice, and I do my very best on my mix show, which is called After the Smoke is Clear, to highlight every different scene across the country. And really, I try to just tap in and figure out who's who and who's actually dope in each market across Canada, and then bring all of those into one place. And this interview series, Fly in Formation, has been a way to really get to know who's who, because if anybody knows who's dope on each scene, it's the artists themselves. So, you know, as I learn more and more about each city, I meet more and more people. And today, joining me, an artist whose music I've been playing for the past few years on After the Smoke is Clear, Len Bowen. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man.
Yeah.
It was like plus 26 degrees out here for the first time so far this season, so I was happy. It was a nice weather today out here. But yeah, man, you've been making moves. You've been around the Winnipeg scene for a long time, from what I gather. I guess maybe let's just start. Do you want to tell people kind of about your history in the music scene? You're not new to this game, but
No.
new to the solo game, maybe a little bit more. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I mean, I'm Len Bowen. I'm an MC from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I've been making music over 20 years. I started out originally as part of a group called Different Shades of Black, and we chopped it down to uh, Shades over the years, the name. And, I make traditional hip hop with a current feel.
yeah.
And yeah, that's who I am. That's what I do.
Yeah, right on, man. So I kind of tapped in with your 2023 EP, which was called Late to the Party. I kind of wanted to ask, like, for a guy who's been around, making hip hop for a long while, what was it that made you feel late to the party in 2023?
Late to the Party was really just trying to draw people back to the full length, which was Nothing for Granted. And when I say late to the party, let me elaborate on that. Basically, all I'm saying is, I was saying to my city, I was trying to motivate them to. Winnipeg always had this culture of being comfortable finishing second, if you
Mm,
know what I mean. You know what I mean? I was just basically on that record trying to get people to root for the home team, to have more pride and confidence in themselves as artists, as musicians, and as a city in its whole. You know what I mean? So that's what Late to the Party was all about. Just letting people know, you know, I'm not waiting on anybody to give me a cosign. I've been doing this for a minute. Everybody else has. It's time we stand up. When people come through, when people pass through our city, they got to show respect. They can't just come through, make some bread, treat
yeah.
us any kind of way they want, and then bounce and fuck off. You know what I mean? So that's really what it was all about.
Makes sense. Do you
Yeah.
feel like you've been accepted and welcome to the party in the years since?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. The city's always shown me love. I can't lie. But I worked for it. I worked hard for it. I never got comfortable or complacent, and I stepped out of boundaries as far as the city goes. I've been working with other artists, producers, from all over the country, and it's always put me in the mind frame of, making sure that everybody feels like this is worth their time and showing up and showing out on anything I do, whether it's a performance, whether it's a studio session where I'm recording a track, just letting everybody know this is worth your time and you're working with somebody who takes this very seriously. So
Nice, man. So, let's talk about the Winnipeg scene, dude. Is it like you mentioned? You know, the Winnipeg kind of felt to you like people were happy with being second. You know, with maybe the recognition that like it's tough to make it out of Winnipeg. Is it a bit of an underdog mentality coming from Winnipeg?
it is an underdog mentality. And just to, speak more to that, just in the sense, we've got a ton of artists, we've got a ton of DJs, turntablists, we've got b-boys, we've got graph artists. Every element of hip hop exists out here. But as far as DJs breaking local records, they might have their night somewhere, they might have their night in the club. There's artists out here making exceptional music, and you know sometimes it's just where they're either going to play it at the beginning of the night. They would never play a record in prime time, and it's like, this is your city, stand behind it. You go to Toronto, you go anywhere else, and they stand so much. They're so proud of their city and their artists and everything coming out of it.
Do you
You
feel
know
like
what I mean? And
do you feel Toronto's actually proud of like all the artists, or like do you, you know, they're proud of Drake. They're definitely real proud of Drake. But
yeah.
like, does a guy need to sell, you know, the most albums in hip hop history in order to have a Canadian city look at them and give them that type of respect? I feel like a lot of the guys I talk to across the country, um, you know, tell me stuff like, "Oh, you got to blow up in America before your city will accept you." Does it feel like that out in Winnipeg?
It definitely feels like that. There's certain artists who have got cosigns from outside of the city where you'll see people's attitude and you know body language. Everything changes once you get a certain cosign, but sometimes things cool off and everything goes back to normal. I feel like, to answer your question, I feel like it's not all the way across the board in a place like Toronto, but it's way more so than it is in a place like Winnipeg.
Sure.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
Um,
Is that a new mentality? Like with, is that the social media era mentality that kind of makes people act that way, or what was the scene like in Winnipeg? You know, 20 years ago, type thing. Have you seen the scene change noticeably?
it's, the scene has changed. It's the artists have evolved. The newer generation, there's a lot more confidence. They're a lot more self-sufficient. They know what they're doing. They
Yeah.
know what they're doing. They know how to monetize off their music. They know how to put on a dope performance, stage show. They know how to record themselves. They know how to do it all. But at the same time, the city isn't. I don't know if it's the infrastructure when it comes to urban music, but it is just not where it should be. We have some artists out here that definitely, including myself, that definitely deserve more flowers than we've been getting. But the fight continues
Yeah.
nonetheless.
I think
Nobody's stopping.
across the board, man, there's just like a, it's almost like a refusal to push together, you know, like you said, everybody's so self-reliant now that you don't get as much like team up amongst each individual scene. I feel like
Yeah,
you get a bunch of different pockets even in each individual city. Whereas, you know, from what I could tell, like it used to be a little bit more unified where kind of all the Edmonton dudes would work with all the Edmonton dudes, and you know all the Saskatoon dudes would work with all the Saskatoon dudes, and uh now you know you see more collaboration, I guess, more widespread because guys can send files so easily. um
right.
do you work with a lot of different artists from Winnipeg still?
You know what? I've been working over the years with so many artists from Winnipeg. It's kind of winded down, and it's not that I don't want to work with more artists, but I'm at the point where I'm I'm so much about curating and collaboration that I just wanted, you know, my most recent project to reflect more of myself. I like my whole, um, catalog is there's so much collabs, whether it's producers, whether it's MCs, whether it's singers. It's across the board.
Yeah.
It's great in the sense of longevity, and tapping into other markets and having people pay attention to you, but it's kind of winded down a bit,
Yeah.
and it might turn back up, but for the most recent project, there wasn't a lot of Winnipeg on it, but I was still repping the city to the fullest on this project.
Nice, man. So
As
yeah, let's
yeah,
fast forward up to September 2025 when you dropped "If You Don't See Me, You Saw Me." Um,
right.
I liked the name of the album. It kind of had me guessing on a few different interpretations, but it's easiest just to ask you directly. What does that name mean to you? If you don't see me now, you saw me.
It was basically me saying, I'm giving you everything inside of me on this one. There's no holding back. There's I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable. I'm sharing exactly what's on my mind. I'm not on some cool shit. This is me. And if you've heard of me before, or if this is your first introduction to me, and you never hear me again after this, if you don't see me, you
Sure.
saw me.
Yeah. Word.
You
Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense. So I guess style wise, like you said, you kind of stick to the boom bap roots sound. Would you say your style as a lyricist has evolved over the years very much, or are you pretty much dialed in with this sound and kind of sticking to it?
I would say it's evolved. I think as far as what I do, it's really fine-tuned at this point, articulating myself, getting to the point, painting the picture. As far as sounds go, I'm open. I'm not boxing myself in, but I'm a hip hop guy, and I'm proud of it. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to just stay above water doing what's current and what, you know, I think everybody wants to hear. I'm at the point where I'm giving you what I think you need versus what you want to hear.
Oh, come
And
on.
if
I
you
hear
feel it
country
too,
rap sells really well in these prairie places. All these fucking
yeah,
Alberta guys keep trying to do this uh country rap crossover shit. I can't stand it, man. I don't like it at all.
yeah, not my thing.
Yeah,
No.
no. I applaud you for sticking to your sound. But still evolving it and kind of bringing it into the current era with beat selection and stuff like that. Can we talk about where you found beats for this project?
So I worked with a super producer out of Toronto, Junia-T. I
Nice.
also worked with Slang Hugh from Toronto and Shinogo out of Toronto. Everybody, did their thing. It was a new sound that people weren't accustomed to hearing me on, and it was well received. Project the project was well received. I can't lie, I was a bit nervous, even though I knew in my heart that this was great. Um, but it was a new sound. It brought new flows, new cadences out of me. And it challenged me, just like when I was working with Tough Dumplin. It was a situation where I was working with a guy who I've worked with in the past. We had the rapport, we're friends, but at the same time, this is business, and I got to show up and really do my thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's names on the line, everybody's reps on the line, so it's about giving your all and more.
Have you always incorporated a lot of the reggae, dancehall, dub styles into your hip hop, or is that kind of a new advancement?
I wouldn't say always, but there's been, little dashes here and there.
Yeah,
I'm a first generation Jamaican. My parents are Jamaican immigrants. I've got family all over. My parents just somehow ended up in Canada. I've got a lot of family in the US, where I was fortunate to spend a lot of time out there in New York. So you hear the influence in my music as well,
Nice.
going back and forth my entire life. So it's in my culture. It's just, the roots coming out. Um, so yeah, you hear the patois on some records and the interludes, and you hear it in the production, but it's a part of me for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, never far away for sure.
Yeah.
Something I've been asking people, and it's like a 50-50 split with Canadian artists right now, but are you still traveling to the States? Are you still going down there to do visits and shows and stuff like that? Or would you go down to do a show?
You know what? It's been a minute since I've been out there. I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it. I feel like, yeah, everything, circumstances aren't the greatest, but I feel like people are just, receptive to Canadians, period,
Yeah.
They know we're good people. We're here we're there for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, word. Uh
Yeah.
so this is kind of like it's a tight focus project. It was only 8 tracks, and before that there was an EP. Will we get a full length solo project from you, or are you, do you prefer, I guess, doing kind of more digestible EP length kind of bite size projects?
The length of the project, Dubious, wasn't premeditated. That's
Okay.
just how it came out. I was working on the project. To be honest with you, I didn't have much of a direction. I didn't know what the title was going to be for the longest time. I didn't know what records were going to be about. I went through a lot at the time working on this in my personal life, and everything you hear was just me pouring out anger, frustration, sadness, some good moments, bouncing back from just being in weird emotional places. It's the most time I've ever spent isolated working on music ever, and that's what people heard. It could have been longer, but I wasn't forcing anything. It just felt good where it was.
Nice. So when you
And
say
I
you were
put it
working
out.
on it in isolation, were you sending files back and forth with Junia-T? He's based out in like Montreal or something, isn't he? Or is he from?
Junia-T, at the time he was in Toronto, I spent some time out there working on it with him, but not a lot, like maybe 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
I shot out there and recorded and just vibed out with him. And then I came back and finished up things. Um, in Winnipeg, there were a lot of file sharing. He produced the majority of it, but again, there was Slang, Hugh, and Shinogo. Yeah,
Yeah.
files were going back and forth, but what I'm speaking to is my writing process. When
Okay.
I was writing the records, I wasn't going out a lot. I was just by myself. Like a lot of people when they're writing, they like to be out, they like to be, mingling, partying because, it provokes ideas,
Yeah. Gives
right?
them quotes to use and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Ideas to use. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, conversations with people, all those things, and I utilize all those methods as well. But this was just one where I was just going through some stuff, and I wasn't really in a sociable mood unless I had to, do things.
Sure.
So that's all I mean by that.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense. Did you do a lot of the recording the vocals? Like, was it home recording styles, other than what you did for the sessions out in Toronto, or?
I recorded with Junia-T in the studio in Toronto, a few records, and the rest I did in Winnipeg at a studio called Private Ear.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of guys who have kind of started their career back in the day with groups who have made a splash end up disappearing when the group goes their separate ways, and you never hear from the solo acts again. What was it that made you decide you weren't done with?
I was really, when I think about it, I was the one out of my whole crew that wanted it the most. Everybody was in it and they were serious. Um, but, time went by, people's lives were going in different directions. There were a few disappointments here and there that kind of maybe broke people's spirit.
Sure.
And, you know, like my crew, the Shades, we're family. We weren't even a group. We were like family. We grew up together. Um, you know, my brethren Biggs in the group, our mothers knew each other when they were both like pregnant with us, and we went to high school together. We went to elementary. My boy Bad Manners, like they're my brothers. I've known him since we were 13, so we're beyond the group. But and we're still all close, but um they had enough. This rap is grimy, man. Rap is dirty.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so much shit behind the scenes that people don't see, that people don't talk about, but everybody knows about. So they had enough. But
Dirty promoters and stuff like that, like without being too specific. What
I
kind of?
mean, I mean to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So they had enough, and I can honestly say at some point when I was younger, I loved rap music probably more than I love myself. Like I just was not giving up on this, no matter what the negative experience would have been here or there, whether
Yeah.
I just wasn't done, and I knew I hadn't reached my potential as an artist, so I had to keep going.
Was it a bit of culture shock getting back to it and doing it solo rather than being able to kind of split duties with other guys in a crew like that? Like as far as,
Yeah.
the behind the scenes booking and promoting and all that type of shit goes?
I was always the business guy in the group. I wasn't the front man
Okay.
really. So I was kind of used to that. But as far as, only spitting one verse on a record, hooks, bridges, it was the workload was shared and now it was all on me. So that was the biggest adjustment. But like I said, I love this stuff. So it just took me a bit of time to figure it out and make sure that, you know, I had to convince myself. I'm my worst critic, my biggest critic. I had to convince myself that I was doing things on a level where I was ready to share with people what I was doing as a solo artist,
Yeah.
and and put that extra pressure on myself, just knowing there's no one else to fall back on but myself. So by the time people heard, long story short, I of course I was nervous. It was the first solo project I ever did, but I knew I was ready.
Yeah, nice. The other thing though about working alone compared to with a group that I hear people tell me, and that I've experienced myself writing songs with people, is just that you get to be more expressive of mm, more kind of niche ideas that maybe relate to you but might not relate to other guys who you're asking to rap with you on a track. Um,
Absolutely.
did you get to kind
Absolutely.
of take the new material, in some directions that maybe you wouldn't have in a group?
The material, the production, everything.
Yeah.
There were a lot of times, when I was in a collective where people just weren't feeling the beat or the subject matter, and
Yeah.
they would do it just for the sake of doing it, or say, you know what, I'm gonna fall back off this track. But yeah, it's good to not have to run things by other people, and you know just paint the picture exactly the way you want it. um I actually, that was one of the more fun things about putting out a project by yourself, like your vision. It's completely your own vision, so at the end of the day, there's no track where you're like, that's something he wanted to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was none of that. So that's the one of the upsides of it.
That makes sense. Yeah, for sure. Um, so we lined this thing up through management, through I think Wayne Booth, is that homie's name
Right.
that manages you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk
It's my
about
manager.
him and just kind of the importance of having a team to help get the music out to people. Do you feel it's more effective this way?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wayne's my brother at this point. We started working together around 2021, 2022. Just, having a second set of eyes on everything, and just ideas in general, like as far as once the music is completed and we're getting ready to roll it out and promote things and find ways to keep people engaged, because there's too much to look at, there's too much to listen to. So to keep people focused on you is a challenge, no matter how nice you are, as an artist. So um and just to have that support system, like I'm not in a group anymore. So just to have a manager who's a hip hop guy who actually knows music and has a good ear,
Right.
and can, just have input objectively,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah, and give you the okay, or give you the
Yeah,
what's the word, reassurance, I guess, about like, yeah, this is dope. This should go out to the world or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. Or this
Otherwise,
shouldn't,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Because, like you said, I think a lot of artists are their own worst enemy, own worst critic,
For
when it
sure.
comes to putting music out and choosing what they should and shouldn't release. Um, I guess what's next? What's coming up for 2026 for you? Have you been working on any more music since this last one dropped?
Yeah, I've been working on, a few things, writing. I'm still promoting the project, but we're more focused now on just the singles versus the project, because
Sure.
every, record was its own, moment, its own life. It has its own life. So people will be seeing a few new visuals. I'll be performing, but I'll also be dropping new music at some point this year as well. Whether it's, a full length or an EP or just singles,
Yeah.
we'll wait and see. But yeah,
I mean,
you
it's
haven't,
kind of singles era now at
it
this
is,
point. Just a lot of artists are doing, weekly drops, monthly drops, whatever. Just drop, drop, drop. It seems like that's kind of the best way to keep people's attention, or at least it's a popular one to try to keep people's attention. I think the other alternative is to like run around and do shows constantly, right? Like to be, or I guess to be constantly on social media is another one way to stay in people's face. But have you been doing a lot of shows recently for this?
I haven't been doing a lot of shows, but it's about to pick up. I'm gonna touch the road shortly.
Nice.
I'll be out east, and I'll definitely be doing a few shows out west. That's going to pick up, but the presence as far as still promoting. If you don't see me, you saw me. I'll be, dropping visuals for a few tracks there. The Journey Part 3, Runaway Part 2 featuring Jordan and Odario. All of that will be dropping soon.
Nice.
And yeah, I'll be touching the road in the near future as well. So,
Had you worked with Jordan before, or was that a new link up?
oh no, me and Jordan go way back. This is like the third record we've done together. He was on um he was on a project that I dropped. We did a song called "Fly," I believe it was called.
Okay.
The Going Away Party, and he was on Nothing for Granted. We did $1 Million Baby, and there's a video for that that's produced by Tough Dumplin. So we used to have the same manager a while back, a guy by the name of Craig McMillan.
Okay.
That's how I first met Jordan.
The other Craig Mack. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we've known each other for a minute, and we've kept in touch here and there. He was actually in town the other day. He was in Winnipeg for the FIFA World Cup tour
Oh,
with
nice.
Classified. So he hit me up. We were trying to get this visual done, and he said, I'm in town for a few days, so if you got the time, let's make it happen. So people will be getting that
Coming
real
soon.
soon.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
this is kind of just a general question I like asking people, but especially for guys like you who have been in the game for a long time. Can I just ask you, what does success as an artist look like for you? Like, are you chasing a big dream still, or what's
yeah.
what's the dream?
You know what? I had to reassess what I see as success. When you're younger, you want to be signed. It was all about being signed,
Right.
you know, um, you know, possibly having a record go gold by whatever standard, winning a Juno, whatever the case may be. So, I still have aspirations to do a lot of these things, getting signed. Nobody really needs to these days.
Yeah.
So success to me is just being able to go out there and have a solid fan base that I can continue to provide music for, that I can get in front of, that I can move some merch, that look forward to hearing my story as it evolves and keeps going in whatever direction it does. Um, you know, this music, like anything else, is so subjective that you have to at some point fall back and not really compare yourself. Hip hop is competitive, yes, but as far as I go, this is I'm on a course competing against myself. This is
Yeah.
this is golf at this point. You know what I mean?
Well, and
Um,
Canadian artists, it's tough. We can't really compare our numbers and sales against American artists. There's the market sizes are just too wildly different to really
yeah,
like, consider ourselves a success only when we reach numbers like the American guys get, because like they just have so much more access to so many more hip hop fans. The internet is leveling
exactly.
that playing field, of course. Uh,
Yeah,
but still, it's tough in Canada just to get established to a point where anybody wants to listen to your music online. Even touring is tough. Just everything up here is the next step difficulty compared to I think what Americans have. Although there's a lot more competition down there too. So up here we kind of get to be big fish, small pond type scenario. Uh,
yeah,
you know,
I
um,
would say so.
yeah, and we do have our Juno awards and things like that people compete for and are pushing for to achieve. But yeah, it's a whole different game up here, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about moving to America to pursue music?
Not at this point. I'm good.
Yeah,
Definitely go down there and perform and, collaborate, work with people. But I'm good where I'm at. Things are too crazy down there.
yeah,
Um,
I hear you.
that system, that life. No, I'm good up north.
Yeah, weird. How about well, this is kind of a funny question that I like asking MCs. When's the last time you wrote a bad verse?
Oh wow. The last time I wrote a bad verse, you know what? I can't remember the last time I wrote a bad verse.
Yeah, right on, man.
Not since I was a kid, and I know that sounds cocky and everything, but I'm so hard on myself that I would never let you hear anything unless I thought it was on a certain level.
Yeah,
And my thing has always been, as long as um, you feel what I felt when you hear it, my job is done. So if I'm writing something and in my mind it just I'm like, whoa, I know you're going to feel the exact same thing
yeah.
when you and I don't lie to myself. If it's whack, you're not I'm gonna work on it until it gets to where it needs to be.
That's a
So
good answer. Yeah, no bad verses because you keep working on them if they're bad. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so are you the type of MC then that most of the stuff you've written ends up getting to a record, or do you got stacks and stacks of lyrics that'll never see records?
I would say 80 to 85% of it made it to
Okay.
songs or features or what have you. Not a lot sits around.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
How about what are you listening to, man? Are you listening to modern hip hop or stick to the classics?
I would have to say it's the classic stuff, some new stuff, but I can't lie. Like hip hop isn't in the best place right now.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
not in that's the best. That's the nicest way I can put it, man. It's rough right now. So,
Do you feel
um,
like that's on an actual culture level, or is that just like mainstream sales? Because I've seen a lot of this. You know, there's been a lot of discussion in the past couple weeks about like, yeah, how there's hip hop hasn't been on the billboards since the Kendrick Drake
yeah,
battle or whatever, and I kind of think to myself like, but does anybody really care about the billboards at this point? Like, even the way
nobody
that the billboards
cares.
are counting numbers is fucked compared to 20 years ago,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I mean, yeah, realistically, nobody cares. Like they're always posting certain artists' streaming numbers and breaking streaming records. Nobody gives a shit.
yeah,
That's not doing anything for the listener, but informing them of 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 this shit that means absolutely nothing, right? So, I mean, there was a point where artists who were making real hip hop were the ones charting and, breaking records, from Tribe to Wu Tang,
yeah.
to, you know,
And they were both commercially successful as well
exactly,
as respected by like foundational level hip hop heads who love the
exactly.
culture.
So,
Yeah.
right. So, what's happening today is hip hop is so rock and roll on another level that n- all of that foundation and tradition was thrown out the door. Like, nobody cares about any of the principles that made hip hop what it's supposed to be, what it was. So it's trash right now because the mentality of the people on top isn't what it should be.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not what it should be. So when someone's not worried about snitching, when the music is overly secular, there's no positivity, there's nobody dropping jewels anymore. There's just nothing. Like all of the people, guys like Common Sense, guys like Nas, Pete Rock, and CL Smooth, and these kids today have probably never even heard about guys like CL Smooth or
Yeah.
digging in the crates, or I could go on and on.
And
And I'm not being biased. If your music's dope, it's dope. It doesn't have to fall into this pocket or that lane. Um, I'm not I'm not biased, but the shit is trash um and everyone's overly sensitive where you can't even give an honest opinion.
yeah. Yeah, man.
So,
To
I
me,
mean,
my honest opinion on this whole thing is that like rapping specifically as an element of hip hop is a wordplay sport. And it used to be that like, oh, okay, Cool G rap wasn't necessarily gonna spread a positive message and tell anybody how to live a righteous life, but he was still dope as fuck. And his the negative messaging was at least being delivered uh
cleverly.
in a technical way that makes it sound like, okay, this guy like is smart. Listen to what he's doing with the fucking word plays and the flows and the
Right.
rhyme schemes, right? Whereas now
Exactly.
I listen to some of the new music and I'm just like, okay, this dude doesn't sound like he can read or write. It sounds like he has walked into the booth and is like saying things that rappers say. And there's less artistry to it in my opinion, but if you ask the people who like that music, they'll tell you it's about the vibe and it's not about what's being said. So the other thing is that the umbrella of hip hop has grown and expanded so far that that's hip hop, and you know Cool G rap is still hip hop, and guys that rap
Yeah.
like that are still hip hop, but there's this whole other lane, and then it gets complex where like this year I got to vote for the Junos, and I didn't really agree with who they gave the best because my part was only voting for who was going to be the noms, who was going to be nominated for best album, and they gave it to an artist named Sad Boy, who like I have honestly not heard of before I was judging the Junos, but I went and listened to the album, and like it was well produced music, but she's not rapping like that, and so I almost feel like we're in a place now where you've got to have different categories under the hip hop umbrella, because you can't just give away best rap album and give it to somebody who's not rapping. Like, you
Right.
know, her album's great. I'm sure a lot of people like the album, but you can't tell me that she was a better rapper than all these guys whose music I play on Atzik every week. You know, there's a lot of guys who are really wrapping up a storm across this country, and some of them were also nominated in the Junos or whatever. So yeah, I think it's tough to lump everything into one category and just say, well, these are all rap albums. You know, and I'm not really sure what the way around that is, or what the like what you would even call the new category of music if it's not rap or whatever. I don't have these answers for these questions, but
Yeah.
it feels like a bit of a
Well,
mess, you know?
yeah, and you know, I'm sure that, you know, when artists submit for those things, there's, you know, they're building their case, right? So even if it's not the best music or whatever, they're building a case, and sometimes the stuff that's making them the strongest candidate for this award um, outweighs the actual talent,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Or
which is
outweighs
why
the
some
music itself anyways, you know, like
right,
they've got the
right,
image
right,
that the Junos want to award.
exactly.
And you know, I understand the Junos are looking to make stars. They're looking for the next person who could be Drake level, you know, uh, popular with everybody, the masses, that type of fame.
And that's why not even for where I'm at in making music, and that I've been making music a long time, whether you just started, whether you're dope and you've only been in it a few years, um, that's going back to me saying you got to reassess what you see as success. That it's all
Yeah.
subjective. You know, props to Sad Boy for winning that. You know, she's obviously a new current artist. Um, and like yourself, I never heard of her before.
I mean, for me not to have heard of a Canadian artist, like you got to be hiding under a rock. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm out here looking every fucking week. I listen to like 7, 8, 9, 10 hours worth of new releases, and I'm the type of guy who, if I see an artist featured on some other Canadian who I'm following song, like I'll actually click through and like find their Instagram and follow that, and find their Spotify and follow that, and like make sure I'm tapped in. And I hadn't heard of Sad Boy. You know, apparently she won a Juno a couple years ago for best dance album. So, like you said, I mean, I hope her career goes places, and all the power to her. I wish success to everybody. It's just when you're going to call it the best rap album award, I don't know. We either need to reword that award name, or choose a
Yeah,
rapper. I
like
think. You know?
yeah, like it means something to win a Juno, but at the same time, don't kill yourself if you don't for for everything we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When things just aren't adding up, it is what it is, you
It is.
know?
Yeah, definitely, man. So I always do a segment of this show. It's kind of rapid fire, just conversation starter, basically. I ask, how important is this, or how important is that? And I let you, you can use a number scale, or just give me a vague answer one way or the other. It doesn't
Sure.
particularly matter. So let's do, how important is an in-person studio session with the producer you're working with?
10.
10? Yeah. Worth the flight, or worth going to find the person?
The vibes, the building, the connection, you know, it when you're making music, the last thing it should be is transactional. That's something every artist should know and learn. You have to you have to be personable. It's about connecting. It's about getting to know somebody, even though you're there to make music, getting to know them beneath the surface, getting to know a little bit about that person.
Yeah.
And that translates into just a better experience, better music. It puts you in the right mind frame. You're relaxed. You know, when I was working with Junia-T, like this, and even Tough Dumplin, these guys, I realized it after the fact that, you know, these brothers were just doing everything to just boost my confidence. They knew what I was capable of, but they were trying to take me to the next level. It's more than just press and record, and
Yeah.
you know, it's vibes. It's vibes. You know, you can look at waves and all of these things on screens, but that shit's out the door when it comes to creating music that people are really gonna connect with.
Yeah. Yeah. It's better to be able to spit the verse live in studio and look over and see the
For real.
reaction right there. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's do how important is well, let's just go basic. How important is a good stage show?
10, 20.
Yeah.
You gotta, you know, everybody, a lot of dudes, including myself, before you even got into a studio, it was all about can you go on stage and show and prove?
Right.
Can you go up there and exude the confidence, be clear, you know, keep everybody engaged in what you're doing. So the stage show, you know, just making music and putting out a bunch of videos and you know, doing things for reaction, and you can't even go out there and perform. You're doing it backwards.
Yeah. You know, that's a change in the eras that I've never actually thought of. But yeah, dudes probably these days, since it's so accessible to get recording equipment and everybody knows somebody who can record, I bet a lot of guys hit the studio before they've ever hit a stage at this point, MCs,
Absolutely, for
right?
sure.
Whereas, yeah, back before, when it cost thousands of dollars to record music, you know, and you paid hourly at some studio someplace, yeah, people would want to actually go out and practice their craft, you know, the same way a punk band runs around and plays a bunch of shows before they go record their album or whatever. That makes a
Yeah,
lot of sense. Yeah. Um, how about how important is having a DJ or a hype man for your stage show?
10. You got you. This is hip hop. This rap. You gotta have a DJ who knows what they're doing. Um, it adds that element. You know, it's an aesthetic as well. A lot of, you know, nowadays, if you play showcases, and I've been told myself, I'll put on a dope ass show, but they'll be like, you know what? Um, to get into these festivals, you know, a bass player, a drummer, someone on keys, adding that,
Yeah.
you know, enhances your you know, your chances of getting more shows. And that's cool. I love the live band aspect, but to keep it still hip hop, that DJ, nothing will ever replace that. That's one of the elements,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's one of the elements. And the hype man, you know, I'll take that. I'm 50-50 on that. Like I'll use a hype man once in a while, depending on how big the audience is.
Right.
It's good for energy to give you a little breather here and there, but as an MC, you should be able to go out there by yourself and do the thing. You know, get out there, get through your verses, and not have to rely on you know, a hype man. But I use one from time to time, and I don't knock anybody who does. It's all how you put it together up there.
Yeah, well, and with the right chemistry, it can really add to a show. Like, uh,
So,
I didn't understand what Flava Flav was until I saw Public Enemy live, and then I was like, "Oh, this is the greatest hype man who's ever lived. Look at this motherfucker go!" Like, just raised the
yeah,
entertainment level, you know, 10 points or whatever. And you know, I love Chuck D, but
yeah.
yeah, the two of them together were the show,
Yeah,
definitely.
Chuck
Yeah,
D's voice is one of the most recognizable
We lost you.
voices.
Chuck D's voice
You
is
get
what now?
Chuck D's voice is one of the most signature, uh, recognizable voices
Yeah.
from from the past. But can you imagine a Public Enemy show going through a whole set without Flav up there?
It
You
wouldn't be
know,
the same. It wouldn't. No.
no.
Yeah. It wouldn't be as good, man. Yeah. How about this, dude? How important is competition in hip hop? We touched on it earlier, but I like asking people this one.
That's a 10. It helps elevate everything you do. That's what hip hop was built on, battling,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
snapping on each other. So um, you get rid of that, you get rid of hip hop. You might as well just, you know,
So you're in favor of diss tracks. I thought it was wild seeing that clip of Jay-Z a few weeks back talking about how, maybe the time of the battle is over or whatever. And I could kind of relate. Like I've sometimes sat back and been like a little bit dismayed at like how King of the Dot and like, battle rap in that format has really blown up to a point where like I think a lot of people think about rap as that specifically, like
yeah,
almost, and it takes some of the musicality out of it, that format with no beats or whatever. So yeah, and just the negativity of it all, right? Like really this
yeah.
thing boils down to a bunch of yo mama jokes. Is that what we're talking about? But I mean it kind of
Yeah.
does, but it kind of doesn't too, right?
You know what? If like, you think about King of the Dot URL, and just I think what Hove was really talking about was just where it can lead to, where people are getting killed or hurt
Yeah,
um um
or
over
having
that.
their career absolutely destroyed too, right? Even yeah,
Right, right. But if you could keep it, just competitive and like a sport, like UFC, they'll
yeah,
almost destroy each other, and at the end they'll give each other a hug, and somebody's hand gets raised in victory, and they move on. And you think, how can two guys who just finished trying to break each other's jaws give each other a hug after 5 rounds in the
yeah.
octagon, right? So if you could keep it like that in hip hop, where it doesn't go beyond what it is, um, great. But
And
I hear what he's saying in the sense of, the whole 50 Ja Rule, things can escalate.
yeah. Well, and he was also coming, I think, from a place where he talked about how him and Nas are good friends now, and how Nas is a really nice guy, or something
Right.
was the quote. Also, along with that quote, so he's looking at it in hindsight, 20 years ago, as
Yeah.
somebody with a little bit more age and wisdom now, and yeah, probably is glad that that didn't escalate to a worse place for either of those guys than it did or whatever. They both came out of that with their careers maybe
Yeah.
refreshed, if anything, intact for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's do one or two more of these, man. How about how important is the title of your song? You put a lot of thought into what you actually name each song, or is it just like whatever was said on the hook? I think there's several schools of thought on this one.
I would give that a 10 too, because the title is really how you're it's important in the sense of you being honest with yourself about what you're writing. It's important in the sense of you reeling somebody in, making someone interested in, you know, hearing what you got to say. The title is everything. The title adds excitement,
Yeah,
the curiosity. The title is like getting your haircut and not having a proper lineup. You know what I mean? It's all about the lineup
yeah,
at
yeah,
the end, that complements the cut. The title is everything
yeah.
after you write the song.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can draw listeners in or turn them away for sure. Just
Yeah,
especially in the attention economy that we have now, where there's, however many thousand songs hitting streaming every day and everything. Like,
yeah.
yeah, your song might not get clicked on if it's got some title that isn't drawing people to it. Um, how about this, dude? Last one. How important is pressing vinyl?
It's a 10, and I'll let you know why. Because again, this is hip hop, and we got to hold on to the foundation and the principles and everything that makes hip hop what it is, um, and not let you know not let these things disappear.
Mm.
Cool Herc, you know, came here from Jamaica, came to the States, lived in the Bronx. It started on two turntables.
And
A
a
lot of people
crossfader he
don't,
created, I think, right?
and
Or
I can't remember whether or not he created that, but
yeah,
all of that is extremely important. Everything you just said is very important. Um, that's where it started. So it's mandatory. It's always, although we're in this digital age where it's not necessary, but for nostalgia and just again holding on to the foundation of what hip hop and rap is, vinyl, having your music on vinyl, there's always going to be um you know a sentiment to that. Like
yeah.
for me, speaking for myself, it's everything.
Yeah, well, it definitely shows people, excuse me, that an artist is confident enough and established enough and serious enough about the craft that they're going to bankroll themselves, because it's no small investment for an artist to have vinyl to sell to people. So when I see an artist with vinyl, I will say, as much as I'm sometimes the guy who sits here and says like, "Oh, come on, the world doesn't need more plastic. We don't need vinyl." Um, I
My
will agree
latest
with you that
record's
it
on
shows
vinyl.
a level of seriousness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you don't see me, you saw me is available on vinyl right now, and shortly it'll be available on cassette as well,
dope,
aside from streaming. So,
nice.
um, yeah,
What made you want to do cassette as well?
again,
Just tradition? Yeah, nostalgia.
tradition.
Yeah,
It's hip hop. You used to go to the record store on a Tuesday and look at the tapes and, you know, take out the cover and read the credits and everything.
yeah,
It's all a part of the experience.
yeah. I do miss liner notes. I will say that.
Yeah.
Now I buy 20 or 30 digital singles every week to play on after the smoke is clear, and yeah, I miss the liner notes. I miss the collection. I love collecting stuff too. I get it. I understand why people still do love vinyl, but I don't know. Maybe
This generation's taking so much, like there's so much that they weren't exposed to that just gave you a feeling. Like there's so much elements to this that it's like Netflix versus going into Blockbuster. You know what I
right,
mean? There's just too much choices. Skip. You're not taking in a project the way the artist actually meant it to be
right,
heard
yeah,
from start to finish. So you got to do your best to just hold on to, what it really was,
yeah.
what it
Uh,
really is.
shit. Somebody I was just talking to, who I'm not going to be able to remember, told me that they're actually putting their next album out as, maybe it was Seraphim the other week from Calgary. I don't know. Somebody was telling me their next album is going to be one long play, um, like one track, so that it's all
Wow.
actually mixed together to force people to listen to the entire fucking thing, uh,
That's dope.
or just go the
I
other
like that.
direction, I guess. But yeah, I hope they all listen to it.
Uh,
Um, Anyways, though, dude, this has been fun talking with you. Before I let anybody
Likewise.
go, I ask a few just kind of wrap up questions. Can you describe the local scene in Winnipeg?
The scene in Winnipeg is very diverse. It's people from all walks of life, passionate about lyrics and bars, and you know, it, Winnipeg is like it's a city, but it's like a big town. So, you know, 6 degrees of separation.
Sure. Yeah. Everybody knows
Yeah,
everybody. Eh?
yeah.
How about any artists who you think people should be up on? Like this show is, pointed at Canadian hip hop heads who want to learn more about the scene. So, any shouts to artist friends you want to give? Now's the time.
Yeah. So, Super Duty, Tough Work, Dill the Giant. Um, who else would I say? The Lytics, Odario, just to name a few. The whole Peanuts and Corn crew, foundation artists, their foundation
Yeah.
from Winnipeg hip hop. So, and myself.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. People
Yeah.
should definitely check out all those artists.
Yeah.
How about this, man? This is kind of the breathe it into existence, word manifests type of a question, but can you name a Canadian artist or two who you'd like to collab with that you still haven't worked with?
I
Anybody?
would like to work with I would love to work with Drake.
Yeah.
I would love to work with Drake. You know, it's a legend, so talented. Um, he's a controversial figure,
Yeah.
just everything that goes with it. I love again going back to the beginning of this interview, just collaborating, curating. That would and I've said that in other interviews. I'm not just pulling that, out of a hat. I've been saying that from time. So that would be um that would be great.
Are you excited for his
Another
upcoming
artist,
album? The rollout is going crazy on all my socials right now.
right? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He's that album has to be amazing. Like that album has to there's so much writing on that and it's going to be amazing. Like it's a no-brainer. It's going to be amazing. It took this long for us to get it. It's going to go crazy.
Yeah, yeah. He's definitely been perfecting the recipe for a while now on that one. So,
Yeah.
yeah, looking forward to hearing what he has. Anything we can plug for people to look out for, shows or tours or drops of things coming up?
New music 2026 still promoting. If you don't see me, you saw me. Look out for the Journey Part 3 and Runaway Part 2 featuring Jordan Odario. You'll catch me out west. I'll be, in Alberta.
Hey,
I'll be out east. You'll catch me in Montreal this summer, Toronto. Um, the locations aren't set in stone yet, but I'll definitely be on the road.
okay.
So
So,
stay tuned.
yeah, stay
Yeah.
tuned. Where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram. Shout out Len Bowen. Facebook, Len Bowen DMC. I'm on Twitter. This is Len Bowen.
Oh, leave Twitter. Come on, get off Twitter. Shit.
I know I should, but
I
yeah,
jumped ship as soon as Musk bought that thing, man.
yeah,
Fuck that guy. I call him Twitler at this but yeah, I encourage
yeah.
artists come over to Threads. Threads is, it's pretty much the exact same thing. Takes a little while to rebuild your fan base over there or whatever, rebuild the followers list. But I don't know. I think when I quit Twitter when Musk bought it, I had like 1,200 or something, and I just hit 1,000 on Threads. So, it's
Yeah,
possible.
that's what's
You
up.
can battle back.
Red.
Threads.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And yeah, and the music, everybody is online. Like support me through Bandcamp, because they actually
Yeah.
do what's right when it comes to the artist. So Bandcamp, yeah, and thank you for having me, Doobyis. It's
Hey.
been a pleasure.
Yeah, man, it's been fun. And I'll keep playing your music. Keep me in the loop when you're releasing new music. And yeah, I'll let people know on after the smoke is clear. Appreciate you spending the time to do this, man.
Sounds good. Thank you again.
Hell yeah. Peace. All right, everybody. So that was Len Bowen, Winnipeg MC. Definitely go check out his music. Check out his newest album. If you don't see me, you saw me. Lots of dope music on there. A few tracks I played on Atsic in the past as they were being released. On the show we keep things breathtakingly, blazingly new, but definitely it got a few spins from me over the past months as well. Coming up next week, I'm still booked all the way through till the end of June for every Tuesday. Got a new interview. Next week, April 28th, I'll be talking to Niagara Falls-based artist Ezza of Choom Gang. Looking forward to that one. We've been shooting some messages back and forth as we watch fuckery unfold in the world, and we've got some things to say. Should be a fun talk. As well, of course, we'll cover his new music. May 5th, I'm talking to Tone Chop and Frost Gamble. I talked to Frost Gamble, another Winnipeg-based artist, a couple of years ago now, but I've been playing his music. He collaborates with Tone Chop all the time, and they have a new album called Beautiful Foundation coming very soon. We're going to talk about that and how it came together and all the history as well. May 12th, talking to OP Yeti, Victoria-based artist who I spoke with a couple years back, and he has new music dropping, so we're gonna chop it up once again. May 19th, it's Half Cut and Cole the God from Calgary. I really liked their album, The Relentless 2, last year, and I hear they're working on a sequel to that, so looking forward to asking them about that and everything else. I saw footage actually from last weekend where Half Cut was on stage rapping and a light lit on fire behind him, and nobody really stopped the show, it didn't look like. The next swipe video that I saw was him continuing to rap while someone was on a ladder behind them putting the flame out, or I don't know, attending to the thing after the flame had been put out. But yeah, that dude puts on a good show, and sometimes it lights the stage on fire. So be aware of that if you're in attendance for his shows. May 26th, talk to more Calgary-based artist. It's the Dirty Sample, aka Old Gorilla Bones, part of a group now called Cold Camp. So Cold Camp is joining me on May 26th. June 2nd, it's Deuce Fantastic. I noticed today that I scheduled him on the 2nd of the month, which for a guy named Deuce is pretty fitting. So yeah, he's got new music coming out. I talked to him a little while ago, Edmonton-based artist. Looking forward to catching back up there. June 9th, Ghost Boy RJ has been making a lot of moves out in Toronto. Looking forward to talking with him. June 16th, Meyer Clarity and Fresh Kills, two friends of the show who have both been on a couple times in the past. That should be a fun one. June 23rd, and Meyer Clarity and Fresh Kills also have an album dropping. I think it might be out now. If it's not out, the first few singles for it are out. It's called OCDC, OC/DC. And June 23rd, Def 3, West Coast-based artist who has been out doing some big festival shows, merging EDM and boom bap sounds, talking with him. June 30th, talking to K-Blitz back in Edmonton to finish out the first half of Season 4 of Fly in Formation. I take July and August off, and then I'll be back in September. I've been talking to artists already who are hitting me up, looking to book into the fall. Actually, just yesterday, I got a message from someone who, I won't throw him under the bus, but I want to tell the story. I had reached out to this person mid-2025, asking like, hey, I'd love to talk to you. I know, you've got this and that coming up. And the response was, email my manager. And so I emailed the manager. And then I got a reply from the manager saying, we're pretty scheduled up. Hit us in early 2026. So emailed the manager back in 2026. I had a post-it note for months on my speaker here. And when I emailed in 2026, I heard nothing back until 2 days ago when the artist himself messaged me saying, hey, I'd like to book. have this thing happening soon that I'd like to talk about. And I was like, sorry, bro, I did what I was told, and now I'm booked until September. So I hope that I can talk to that person in the fall, but there will be no shortage of guests for me to talk to in the fall. There's a bit of a backlog of people who want to talk. So yeah, I'm having fun doing it. There's no end in sight. I appreciate people for coming through. Doobyis.com is the hub for everything I do. I encourage you to go over there, take a look. You can find every episode of Fly in Formation, every episode of After the Smoke is Clear, the mix show. That's all over there, as well as, I make my own music. So when I do make new music, it's posted over there as well. I do a bunch of live streams on Twitch. Thursdays, I'm typically DJing and putting together After the Smoke is Clear episode. Fridays, I normally am sitting around listening to all the new music and doing like the rap reactor guy minus zany faces. Oftentimes I'm also just getting stoned and playing video games. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm listening to music while I do it, so it's really important stuff. But yeah, come through if you feel like hanging out on Twitch. I'm always trying to just build more community around the Canadian scene over there. Everything I do is pointed at building community around this Canadian scene. I appreciate y'all for coming through. If you're watching this on YouTube, come through on Twitch. They happen live Tuesdays, and you can say hi and chat. I'll catch you on the next one. Appreciate you.